Good morning and welcome to Namaste today, a delightful way to begin your day. I'm your heartfelt host and the Sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki. This audio blogcast is for Tuesday, June 27, 2017. So good to see you back, my friend. Namaste. After a bumpy start to the season of Cancer, I'm happy to report that things smooth over today. Not only do they smooth over, but I predict some quantum breakthrough and some legitimate passion. In today's Zodiac weather, I'll outline the planets and explain why. And later in our tea time, since step 6 rules the day, I thought I'd give you some of the mechanics of receiving. But first, let's take a look at today's moods and your Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Tuesday, June 27, 2017. And my global forecast for planet Gaia is sunny and passionate today. Step 6 rules the day, and we have quantum developments in opening up. Let's take a look at the planets. After several days of emotional turbulence, facing fears, and fighting maybe some moodiness, today I predict things will begin to balance. Step 6 rules the day. That means we're in the 6th step of expanding and exploring our emotions. And on the 6th step, we always open up to receive. And it's from opening up to receiving that you actually restore balance. And looking at the planets combined, we have an orchestra that not only will help you to open up and receive, but likely will open the doorways for some major breakthrough. First of all, we've got some quantum planets going on. Venus herself, which is the source of I receive, is at step 22 Taurus. Step 22 nets to a 4, which is I belong, and that means during the course of the day, one of the things you're opening up to is where you belong. Belong manifesting, the value you belong, and the level of quality that you belong. Venus is in Taurus, and we are opening up to our new manifestations. In more simple terms, this means that you may have been working on a project, working to manifest a greater salary, working to manifest a new character, or perhaps a relationship. And today the universe is going to say, take it higher. Open up to where you really feel you belong, not where you are necessarily settling with. And because Venus is in Taurus, this is likely you opening up to something real and concrete. The Sun is in Cancer, so we're working on our emotions, but Venus in Taurus is opening up to some literal opportunities. So today, whatever you're working on, whatever you're manifesting, the universe says open up to a higher expression. But wait, there's more. Mercury is also working as a soul harmonic. Mercury today is at step 13, Cancer. Step 13 also nets to a 4. That's a quantum energy. And Mercury is our thoughts. Now, right now with Mercury in Cancer, a lot of our thoughts are on our feelings. How we may feel about this, how we may feel about that. And so today the universe is also saying, when it comes to your feelings, it's time to open up to a higher level of thinking about your feelings. That perhaps you've been thinking about them only at the lower vibration, only at the survival level. But Mercury at 13 is suggesting a thrival level for your emotions. So, put simply today, you might begin the day with your mind sort of in the gutter, thinking about some of the emotions that were hard to deal with in the last week or so. And today, probably by sunset, your mind will be thinking on a higher level, thinking of a new level of feeling, one that's beyond what you have experienced. In addition to this, also working on a soul harmonic, Mars, our ego, is at step 15 Cancer. Now, 15 nets to a 6, just like the Sun, which means our ego today is looking to feel better and looking to open up to love. Step 15 allows us to open up to our heart and open up to where our heart will enjoy. So part of the aim of this higher feeling, part of the aim of thinking about higher feelings, part of the aim of opening up to higher manifestations is one that you love. Now, speaking of love, the universe is absolutely pushing for it. In fact, we have a temporary grand trine in fire today, triggered by the moon in Leo, which is, as you know, step 1, I love. Now, this loving moon in Leo is actually in Act 3, or the third decan of the Leo transit, which means it's crossing the North Node, and that means that when it comes to love, we're actually looking to our future. We're looking to the greatest love that we can possibly imagine. With the North Node at step 25, the universe is saying this love should be spiritual in nature and should come from the soul. And on top of all this, like I mentioned, that moon is trining into two very important spots in our zodiac. On the one hand, that love is tying into this new definition of your character, represented by Uranus at step 27 Aries. And the moon is also trining into Saturn at step 23, which is forcing us to take responsibility for the story we were born to live. It's simultaneously also trining into the galactic center at 27, which is the source of the story we were born to live. So put in very simple terms and laying out the day, the sun says it's time to open up. Our mind says it's time to think on a higher feeling. Venus says it's time to manifest on a higher level than we've gone before. Our ego says it has to follow our heart and it has to follow our inner peace. And the grand trine in fire creates enormous creative and loving passion that unites our greatest definition of what love is, the story we were born to live, and the character we are now becoming. I think the universe is trying to get us to open up to our heart's real calling today, which happens to be in alignment with the person that we want to be and the story we were born to live. So what's the trick of all this complex orchestra? Well, the trick is to open up. And that's the topic of today's tea time. So go steep yourself some tea. Let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is to open up. Now, today's little topic really deals with something I have learned over the years. I'm sure all of us have had experiences with love, experiences with emotions, and all of us have tried to feel better in our life. And one of the things that the 11 Steps to Serious Joy has taught me is the value of Step 6, I Receive. Step 6, or I Receive, also known as Venus in classic astrology, is the part of our soul that opens up. Venus usually is kind of affiliated with love, and that's because Venus is very important when it comes to love. If you look at Venus in a person's chart, you'll understand their capacity to love. But what I've come to realize myself is one's capacity to love really all harbors around your ability to open up. Now, this may sound simple when you say, hey, just open up to feeling better, open up to being rich, open up to the idea that you're intelligent. But actually, opening up is a consciousness that's very sensitive. It turns out it's actually not easy to open up, particularly when it comes to opening up to new feelings. The weird thing about feelings is most people are afraid to feel something they don't like. And because they're afraid to feel something they don't like, or afraid to feel worse than they are, people actually tend to harbor or hold on to bad feelings or bad situations, not because it's good for them, but because it's comfortable. This is why a lot of people will continue to be with an abusive person, for instance, or receive bad treatment from a person, because they're actually emotionally afraid of venturing out into the unknown. They're afraid of being without. And so people will often actually hold on to fears or hold on to a bad situation as an emotional security blanket. It's not that their heart doesn't want something greater, it's that they don't feel emotionally strong enough to try it. So out of all the other 11 states of awareness, I find I feel, step 2, or Cancer, emotion. Emotion is one of the more difficult parts of our soul to open up to new things. Now, we have other parts that are difficult too. Our ego tends to be difficult when it comes to opening up, and our mind is also a bit stubborn about opening up. So opening up is not easy really in any state, But I find because we get so emotional in Cancer and so emotional with our feelings, and we fear feeling bad, Cancer or emotion is one of the toughest areas in our life to open up. And I'm going to give you some basic tips about this today. Now, the first little clue to opening up really has to do with the wisdom of the 11 steps to serious joy. I've taught this before. I've also done an audio blogcast series on the 11 steps. You can review step 6 if you want to understand this in really deep form. But the important thing to understand about opening up is that you have to have your foundation in place. Foundation is the steps before step 6. This means that you really have to feel protected and safe, step 0. You really have to come from a loving perspective, step 1. You really have to feel safe and grounded in yourself, step 2. You have to believe it's possible, step 3. You have to believe that you belong opening up, or you belong with something that's higher that you don't know about now, that's step 4. And your mind has to be willing also to open up, which I said is a little bit of a stubborn thing. So without these prior 6 steps in place, it's very difficult for one to open up. And I quite often find that when I have trouble opening up, it's not because I don't want it, it's not because I'm not willing, it's because I haven't done really the foundation work. Those other steps before step 6 are not in alignment. The other key to really opening up is pretty obvious: knowing yourself. You have to know yourself to understand what it takes for you to open up. And classic astrology actually gives us some insight into this. For one, we can look at Venus herself in the natal chart. Whatever sign Venus is in Taurus, Venus in Aries, Venus in Pisces, whatever sign your Venus is in, this really describes the nature and tone that must be set to open up. So if you're not really in alignment with the sign that your Venus is in, or the step number your Venus is in, which I call our VQ, our Venus quotient, then you're going to find it's very difficult to open up. So there are certain values aligned with your Venus sign that's very important, and you should learn those values and understand them. Another key ingredient I have found is the actual step number of your Venus. This actually gives the formula of what states of awareness must be in alignment for you to open up. So I'll give you my own as an example. I am a VQ10. That means my Venus quotient is based in step 10 or based in Taurus. So the rules of my opening up and my engagement always have to do with values and what I value and what I'm manifesting. So I can't open up if something is not in my value set. I can't open up if it's not something my soul values. And a lot of times my inability to open up is probably due to the fact that it's out of my value set. But then on top of that, my step number of Venus is step 26. The 2 is my feelings, and the 6 is balance in this particular sense, because we're talking about Venus. So that means for me to open up, I have to really feel it. That's who I am. And it has to be in balance. It has to leave me in balance. It can't throw off my balance. And when I can feel it, and it keeps me in balance or in harmony, then the 2 plus 6 net an 8, and I have to decide to open up. And that's part of my wisdom as well. I realized, oh my goodness, I have to actually make a decision here. It can't be something where I wait the universe to show me. It has to be a decision. It has to be a commitment. I myself can't open up unless I feel it, it's in balance, and I'm committed to it. So whenever I'm having a difficult time opening up to something, like opening up to a new place, a new job, a new situation, opening up to new possibilities, I use my Venus VQ quotient test. I basically make sure that it's within my values, within all the laws and rules of Taurus, and I make sure that whatever I'm trying to open up to, I can feel it, and it will also maintain my balance and harmony. Once I pass those tests, well, then I go ahead and net 8, and I make a commitment to opening up. And that commitment also means that part of me is resistant, but part of me has committed, so I'm going to have to move forward. So if you're into classic astrology, you might take a look at your Venus. Look at the step number and look at the sign that your Venus is in. This will tell you what I call your Venus quotient, and it describes for you your ability to open or not open and why. Now, for my Serious Joy subscribers, I'm happy to report that I went into a lengthy trouble today to give and go into your VQ. So in today's pep talk that you receive at 8:33 a.m., you'll see I have provided for you your natural-born Venus step number. I've also provided for you what sign your Venus is in, and I'm also attaching a video that describes your VQ. I hope it helps you to open up. And to everyone who is not yet a subscriber to Serious Joy, you may consider opening up to a subscription. Because for just $5 a week, I will guide you 7 days a week with information about yourself just like this. In fact, each day of Serious Joy is like a miniature reading in itself. Give it a try. Come on down to SeriousJoy.com. All right, my friend and earthly neighbor, that's all I have for today. I hope you feel fantastic by sunset. Open up to new opportunities, new experiences, and above all else, open up to what your heart is calling for today. While you're out there opening up in the bright, sunny energy of Venus, remember, I love you, and to live, love, be.
Live, love, be.